So we are so happy to have Madison. She is one of our amazing students. This is her first year at Rollins, and she is majoring in communication. So I just wanted to welcome Madison, and she is going to be reading part of his sermon entitled The Gift of Love. Madison?
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I will be reading, as Reverend Katrina Jenkins said, I will be reading A Gift of Love, and this is one of his sermons that he wrote while he was in jail in July 1962. So first, I'm going to be reading a Bible verse, Matthew chapter 5, verse 43 to 45. Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. And pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be children of your Father, which is in heaven. So basically, this excerpt is going to be about loving your enemies. Probably no admonition of Jesus has been more difficult to follow than the command to love your enemies. Some men have sincerely felt that its actual practice is not possible. It is easy, they say, to love those who love you, but how can one love those who openly and insidiously seek to defeat you? Others, like the philosopher, excuse my pronunciation, but Nietzsche, I believe, contend that Jesus' exhortation to love one's enemies is testimony to the fact that the Christian ethic is designed for the weak and cowardly, and not for the strong and courageous. Jesus, they say, was an impractical idealist. In spite of these insistent questions and persistent objections, this command of Jesus challenges us with new urgency. Upheaval after upheaval has reminded us that modern man is traveling along a road called hate, in a journey that will bring us to destruction and damnation. Far from being the pious injunction of a utopian dreamer, the command to love one's enemy is an absolute necessity for our survival. Love, even for enemies, is the key to the solution of the problems of our world. Jesus is not a practical idealist. He is a practical realist. I am certain that Jesus understood the difficulty inherent in the act of loving one's enemy. He never joined the ranks of those who talk gleefully about the easiness of the moral life. He realized that every genuine expression of love grows out of consistent and total surrender to God. So when Jesus said, love your enemy, he was not unmindful of its stringent qualities. Yet, he meant every word of it. Our responsibility as Christians is to discover the meaning of this command and seek passionately to live it out in our daily lives. Let us be practical and ask the question, how do we love our enemies? First, we must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. It is impossible even to begin the act of loving one's enemy without the prior acceptance of the necessity over and over again of forgiving those who inflict evil and injury upon us. It is also necessary to realize that the forgiving act must always be initiated by the person who has been wronged, the victim of some great pain, the recipient of some torturous injustice, the absorber of some terrible act of oppression. The wrongdoer may request forgiveness. He may come to himself and, like the prodigal son, move up some dusty road, his heart palpitating with the desire for forgiveness. But only the injured neighbor, the loving father back home, can really pour out the warm waters of forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean ignoring what has been done or putting a false label on an evil act. Rather, that evil act no longer remains as a barrier to the relationship. Forgiveness is a catalyst creating the atmosphere necessary for a fresh start and a new beginning. It is lifting of a burden or the canceling of a debt. The words, "I will forgive you, but I'll never forget what you've done," never explain the real nature of forgiveness. Certainly, one can never forget, if that means erasing it totally from his mind. But when we forgive, we forget in the sense that evil deed is no longer a mental block impeding a new relationship. Likewise, we can never say, "I will forgive you, but I won't have anything further to do with you." Forgiveness means reconciliation, a coming together again. Without this, no man can love his enemy. The degree to which we are able to forgive determines the degree to which we are able to love our enemies. And I just wanted to say that was the end of the excerpt, by the way, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I just wanted to give what my thoughts were on the excerpt. So basically, what I said that what we need to do as people is find within our hearts to forgive someone if they've done us wrong. Because sometimes the wrongdoer may, like Martin Luther King states here, that they may never apologize. And that's okay. We have to find within ourselves to decide whether it's okay what that person has done to us and find closure within ourselves so we can progress our relationship, if it's a relationship we think is worth progressing. Because at the end of the day, like I said before, we are only truly the person to forgive that person, if that makes sense. We are the ones that have to decide if we want to forgive that person who's done us wrong. And like Jesus says, he wants us to love our enemies. He'd rather us take the high road and love our enemies instead of filling our hearts with hate, because who wants to live like that? We'd rather live in a path of love. So, thank you.
Thank you, Madison. We really appreciate you. And just thank you, everybody, for such rich reflection. So amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's just take a breath.